Hi, folks. Excuse me. Hi, folks. You're with Tassus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the the merging, if you like, of NGOs and charities. It's now hard to tell the difference between them. They're both sort of merging, and importantly, the personnel, the human resources, if you will, that work in charities move across to NGOs and back again. So it's the same pool of people and the same pool of funding that just moves seamlessly between the two. So you wouldn't know that they're any, they're not any different. And the personnel are completely interchangeable. So the idea that an NGO and a charity are something different is really an old sort of consideration. Today they're more or less the same thing, and they're operating in the same space. The political activism, pushing the globalist message. Now the globalists have been careful again to infiltrate, get into all of these organisations and groups as they help sort of distribute the message on a grassroots basis. And don't sell the globalists short. They've invested gazillions of dollars in this sort of propaganda, which, by the way, was very much a Soviet communist method. Get to the entry-level workers and form workers' committees, install propagandists and ideological fanatics to spread the message. But very much the same. And so we're seeing that now. That same methodology is being used in various ways, but the NGOs and the charities among them. Now, my wife and I do quite a lot of work for a particular charity, volunteers, and we've spent many hours of our time and driving around and doing things at our own expense. We sort of, it's not a political thing at all. Far from it. And we sort of care about this, and you could even say that we've got some sort of minor green credentials. Not in the political sense, but anyway, we when we go, my wife's more involved than I am, but when we go to things like the meetings or where we meet other volunteers and that sort of stuff, and talking to other volunteers, they're all white. Now there is one we've met who's sort of, I think, half Filipino or something like that, but it was her white husband who sort of signed up, and he died from some rare form of cancer or something, and so she kind of kept it up more in his memory than because she particularly believes in it, and the kids, she wanted them to be involved again as honouring the dead husband's memory and that sort of thing. But other than that, all white. Now there is an overrepresentation of lesbians. For some reason they're attracted to this. Not gay men, interestingly, but lesbians. I don't know why. They're quite an angry group, and who very, very sensitive, very touchy. For example, this lesbian couple, they lived close to where a situation was that we were asked to go to. We were called to go to two sort of situations at once. So we called them, and the one that we want to deal with wasn't there. So we were talking to like the she's angry enough. We were talking to like the super touchy and angry lesbian partner, and she started screaming down the phone that we were trying to convert her lesbian partner and make her straight, and what? You fucking hysterical lunatic. Yeah. That gives you sort of an idea of the angry lesbian angle on this, but most of the people are straight, and as I say, all white. So much to my surprise recently, and I saw another video on this, I think it might have been from History Debunked, and if you haven't seen that channel, head over there and have a look. History Debunked, it's on YouTube. And the main sort of website portal, if you like, into the whole thing, that used to be all white. Why not? All the volunteers are white, but they've changed it to being I think out of all the people, what 15% are white, and so I think it's what 11 people there and 2 are white. So 15% white. Now I don't know. Maybe every other branch, or area sort of volunteers. Maybe every area other than the one or the ones plural that we've been to have all non-white people. Maybe it's that, but we've been to what four areas now, and over the years that we've been involved in it, and there's no we've never seen a non-white person there. So it gives you an idea as to, so the volunteer is assuming there must be some non-white somewhere. Let's say then it's 99% white. But on the website now, and this is only recently, they're claiming or inferring, not directly stating that only 15% white people. Now, why is that? Now, if you backtrack through it, we noticed that a front company that takes money from one of the big NGOs has donated money to the charity, and so it could be that they've said, well, look, because we're giving you money, you've got to start practicing our politics, and our politics are anti-white, anti-male. So you better show that in your paraphernalia, your website, and so on. So maybe it came from that. Who knows? There's also been an increase in government funding. The department that does the funding has become very left-leaning over the last couple of years, very, very pro-globalist, pushing the multicultural thing all the time, and anyone disagrees is a racist, pushing mass migration. Now, that aside, so we can say it's the money. It came from the money. Who's paying the money, and they've demanded that some sort of conformity with their views rather than any known reality. So they want fantasy rather than reality. Now, it could be that they're trying to encourage non-white people to participate. This is a view, well, I'll only participate in something where there's people who look like me. And if there aren't people who look like me, then I'm not going to participate. And I saw one thing from a black woman who's gone to somewhere in the north of Scotland and said there was no black people here, and I'm uncomfortable. Her choice to come to Britain, her choice to go to that university, her choice to go to north of Scotland, but it's white people's fault that there aren't other black people there. And until there's a majority of black people, she won't be comfortable. And that's white people's fault. And you know why? Because white people are fucking fascist, Nazi, bigot Hitlers. That's why. Is it because there's a silly black woman who's so entitled? No. It's Hitler's. That's what it is. So it could be that. So they wanted to push the idea of, well, look at all these black and brown people on the website. Why don't you become a volunteer as well? Some of it could be far-sighted. For example, quite a lot of the volunteers are over 50, or certainly the straight white ones are over 50. And when that generation dies off, who's going to sort of be the volunteers for the charity? Maybe they're being far-sighted in that sense. I doubt it somehow, but looking at all the possibilities and all the angles. But as far as I can tell, it's just pure propaganda. I don't think they're far-sighted or considering anything. It's just another opportunity to push fantasy-type propaganda to suggest or imply that black and brown people are just as involved in the community as everyone else, or as white people are. And I don't think they are. The Indians that come here and aren't coming to be part of the community, far from it. Other than a very small proportion, the Asians, like the Chinese that come here, haven't come to be part of the community. Again, far from it. So there ain't any group that's coming to Australia, being brought to Australia, forced onto the population without their consent. There's no group that's coming here to be part of Australia, other than, say, other white countries like people from Britain or, I don't know, Canada, the US, that sort of thing. They're coming to be part of the community, or many of them are, and could easily be so. But no other group is. So I don't know where the volunteers of the future are going to come from. Even another example, I'm involved in martial arts, and there's a martial arts depends heavily on volunteers to do tournaments. People to put the mats on the floor, transport them around, people to do refereeing, and on it goes. It's all volunteers. Now, I can't think of one where any of the volunteers were not white and straight. Now, there's possibly a couple of lesbians, I guess, but that would be it. But again, they're white. So the volunteering aspect of Western society is, if it's to help, to volunteer, to assist and to help, then it's exclusively white. If you're looking at volunteers to go on street marches, placard waving, demand entitlements and handouts and free stuff, then they're overwhelmingly non-white or non-straight white. So that's the divide there, and I see this as dividing society in the future. Now, this pretense that this idea that they'll use the NGOs and the charities to push propaganda is in my view, an outrage, and is not helping with the charitable work, the real charitable work on the ground that's happening. Now, there's a local, when I say local, it's probably 10 kilometres away, but there's a local organisation here that's part government funded and part relying on volunteer local donations, things like that. And we know one of the people that work there, and I asked, she's probably in her mid-60s or something, but I asked her what when they go for the meetings and so on, and she was adamant there's no all the volunteers are white. The local the political commissar from the government is brown, but constantly gives speeches about how racist they all are. That must be a great way to get the volunteers to turn out. But part of their job is to go to walk around in the evening or at any time and find people living on the street and give them like food coupons, that sort of stuff, food stamps, as they would call it in the United States, and to give them food stamps so they can go to the local grocery store and get something to eat. Now, again, they're all white, these people, and yet, some of the people on the street are not white, but they're helping them nonetheless. They're very selfless in that regard. Yet when it comes to non-white people assuming they even do any of this charity work, they're much less charitable. So this idea of white sort of Christian conscience type people being charitable, I think we're losing that. I think it's already in the process of disappearing. And I think that'll be a huge tragedy. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.